In this episode, I have successfully been joined by another host. Hello all and welcome back to the podcast corner. If you're a first time listener, my name is Naoki and this show is one where we tend to talk about things that are outside of my usual topics, away from retro computers, consoles and even some arcade topics. Although if you are interested in any of that kind of stuff, you might be curious to check out my YouTube channel, Naoki's Retro Corner, which is available for you to view. Just search for @NaokiSRC, and you can also find me on X, which I will still protest the name of. Although you may also want to head over to youtube.com/@Naoki's podcast to watch this episode, as today we're not only doing a video version of this podcast, but we also have our first guest of the show, Mr. SuperJimtendo. So how are you today?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you very much for having me.
So do you want to give the listeners and viewers potentially a brief introduction of yourself and your channel?
I'm just a tiny as you can be, sort of YouTube person. Go about my business. The whole thing is just to have fun and poke fun at our silly little hobby, which, let's be honest, we're all nerds anyway.
Yeah.
So why not join in on the stupid nerdish behaviour, in jokes and all the rest of it? It's just daft, stupid fun, really.
I mean, I think you say that you're like, you know, a lowly YouTuber, but I think we're both the same. I think we're both around 700 subscribers, so you know that's still a big audience, don't you think? I mean, you know, the topic is success today, and I think, you know, we got to look at it from the perspective of we are successful in the sense that some people don't even get up to 700 subscribers, and you know we're not up to like tens of thousands of subscribers, but we're still, you know, we've got our footing in the door pretty much. I think. You know, isn't that what you would you agree with that?
Yeah, totally. I find myself quite fortunate, as you might yourself as well, is that, yep, smaller, whatever you want to call it, channels, but the engagement that I get, hopefully you get as well, is massive compared to some of these other channels that have a couple of thousand subscribers and maybe 2-3 comments.
Yes,
that engagement in the comments or the likes or just starting a conversation about something is far more rewarding or successful than just getting numbers for the sake of getting numbers.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the other things that is I like doing at the moment. When you're in that small part of the YouTube spaces, you do get obviously the random comments that you know, it's you expect some of the ones from like your friends or, you know, other people like on Discord or something like that. But you know, when you get someone who gives you a comment that is, you know, completely different background and giving their own insights. I think on one of my Atari videos, like someone was saying to me that they used to love working on the Atari consoles or something like that, or used to, you know, similar something kind of like. And I don't know. In my mind, I had this picture of like the old wise man with a long beard, kind of going, yeah, those were the days, kind of things. Maybe it's not true.
No,
but...
definitely, no. There's that one comment that gets you from those people are out there. The people that make these old games or whatever subject matter you're talking about, they'll do the odd search on YouTube, on Google to see what's going on. Like you'll get an old designer typing in my name of the game, whatever. I did a review about what was the first sort of game that you ever bought with your own money a while ago on retrocollect.com, which sadly defunct. The website still exists if you want to catalogue your games, but the sort of forum side of it's gone.
Yeah.
But I did a review for them, and I had a game called Die Alien Slime on the Commodore 64. It's the first game I ever paid for with my own money, and I wrote a little piece about it.
Yeah.
Sort of tried to get a bit of engagement going, and what game did you buy, and talk about it. Let's start a discussion. And the guy that did the sound for it got in touch. He read the review, found it, and we've been friends on Facebook since. He's like the nicest guy. Yeah, he's just cool. Things like that.
I think it's not too far from the sort of story with Neil from RMC, with Mike Daly as well. Obviously, creator of Lemming series, at least one of the like one of the lead programmers, I think it was. But yeah, no, they they get on like a house on fire now. It's it always feels weird when you kind of meet your legends and then they become your friends, and then it's just like you go from like, how do I describe it? Like, I suppose when I met Neil, because the first time I met Neil, we were painting the BBC Micro, and I felt really bad because my setup was terrible. It was not a professional setup, but in the video it looked more professional than it actually was. But now we just speak to each other like it's friends, and every once in a while I just go, "Is this normal?" Like, it almost feels like you're almost imposing a bit, doesn't it?
I think social media in itself, it's cut out that sort of, I don't want to say celebrity status, because at what point do you become a celebrity?
Yeah.
But like growing up in the 80s, it's Michael Jackson was a celebrity. Do you know what I mean? It's like you were never going to meet him, you were never going to speak to him, you were never going to have any sort of concourse with him whatsoever. Whereas today, you could fire off a tweet to whoever, Elton John, don't make a difference, and you might get a response. And that's the sort of the closure that social media has brought. I think it sort of cuts out that these celebrities are like this bigger sort of entity, when in fact they're just people like we are.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to ask you, what's your biggest claim to fame when it comes to celebrity or whoever messaging you? Or
I don't know about messaging me. I don't know. I'm in Neil's calendar. His charity calendar. That's quite nice.
Oh, speaking of, I'm gonna show it on video. If you're listening to the audio only podcast, I'd obviously recommend that you do look at the YouTube recording. This, at least just this one instance, because you will miss out on some video aspects. I mean, you're gonna miss Jim's lovely face. But yeah, I think I've got the calendar here. It's from 2022. That's how up to date I am.
Oh, that's the wrong one. That one.
You don't say. But where is it? I think it's in. Oddly enough, I mean, I don't mind saying that my birthday is in June, but oddly enough, he put my Mac picture on June, and I really love that picture as well. Like the amount of effort me and my partner put into doing that, it was really nice.
That looks like a sort of shop picture of. You'd see that in a paper.
Yeah,
buy this sort of thing.
I mean, one of the things that if you can just kind of read on the thing. I mean, I'm not. I would hold it up to the camera to show, but it's like it's kind of too low of a resolution. But you can just about make out on the notepad, like I've got a to-do list of meet Bill about something. I can't remember what I wrote. And there's the page on the back down there. Yeah, that page down there that is actually got a load of programming codes, like programming on it, like handwritten out, and explanations and sort of flow, like a sort of flow process. And that was actually for a project of mine that I did for the car. And I was like, I know it's kind of not related at all, but you're not going to read it, but it's going to look technical. And next to all this office equipment, it's going to probably add to that effect. So I just shoved it in there. But yeah, I was really happy with that one.
I take it you had that in there on purpose as well.
What's that? The notepad?
Yeah.
Oh, the whole thing was. I mean, the only thing that's truly not befitting of that picture is the fact that I've got a Tesco. What was it? Box? No, just a little folder, like a file, down there, and it says you can just about read on it. It says theories, but yeah, that's the only thing that's not like in fitting with the thing. So, your picture, your calendar photo, what was that in the same year? Or is that a new one?
It's in the current one.
Is it in the current one? Is it? Oh, nice. So, do you know what month that is?
I can't remember. I got two.
Oh, nice.
Two pictures.
Two pictures in the calendar. That is very successful.
That's a badge of honour.
Yeah.
I think it's November, or we've had one of them. Don't know. Could not say. There's a SNES pad No, it's not. It's a Mega Drive pad. I'm just lying. I sent him a whole file full of pictures and went, "There you go, pick one. If you use one, you use one. Cool, nice one." So he chose two.
And I'll tell you what, if you, I'm gonna get you to send me some photos, and I'm gonna, and like again on the video version, I'm gonna overlay some of these photos so that we can just have a look at, because I guess it's like you've got a hobby. Is it I say a hobby or profession in digital photography outside of YouTube and the likes?
No, not really.
No?
My went to uni sort of bit later in life, sort of mid-20s.
Yeah.
Still directionless on what I want to do when I grow up. I'm now 40, so one day I might find out. But just a background, I found media interesting, making things, creating things. How does it work, sort of stuff. So I'm sort of basically proficient in sort of camera editing, sound, whatever, and it all sort of goes part and parcel of making YouTube content, videos, helping people doing other stuff. And photography is essentially exactly the same sort of setup process as cameras.
Yeah.
So it's not that I know all the intricacies of how to work a camera. It's more having an eye and having a bit of fun, which again, that's what YouTube and messing about for me is about anyway. But taking pictures, I just love messing around and seeing what I can do.
Yeah, because I've seen some of the ones that you have a tendency to like use like color filtering to like cast a certain type of light to give it that kind of certain effect. It looks really nice. Like the way you've done your photos in some of your stuff, I really do appreciate. I really do like it. It's, I don't know. It just it feels weird to just say it looks nice without trying to expand upon that, but you know, it looks good.
Thank you. No, that's what I've tried to not do. Is it's easy to take a picture, slap an Instagram filter on it, and post it to Instagram, whatever. It's fair enough. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. It's, for me, it's coming up with ways of, but how would I make that filter myself?
Yeah.
How would I do that sort of lighting? Where would I position this to make that look nicer? I find just the challenge of doing it just as much fun as taking the picture. There was did a picture of a Commodore Mini, one of the C64 Minis, a while ago, and I took the same picture 6 times, but it had the 6 different colours of the Commodore little badge. And then I sort of posted it, spliced them all together so it looks like a sort of rainbow with a Commodore in the middle. And the top comment was, "Oh, why didn't you just do that in Photoshop?" It's like, well, it's no fun. There's less fun there for me to do that than have a challenge of seeing if I can make something work.
Yeah, I could go really off the rails in the amount of, I know I can do it in the easy way, but I want to do it in the way that is the most fun. Like you get it all the time in programming of, people's already done this kind of thing on their own libraries, but I want to make it myself. I want to understand the system a bit more. I remember ages ago, I think it was when I was filming, and we'll get onto this a bit later on, with My Cool Machine, which is something that we were both part of. But I remember when I was doing that, I turned off the lights and I just had my... So people who watch my YouTube videos, my standard backdrop is just a table, and then at the back of it there's like a backlight that sort of goes onto the wall. Basically, I did that one episode before Clint started doing it, and now it looks like I've copied him. But I turned off all my lights, and then what ended up happening is that because I had the shutter, it was a fixed exposure on my phone at the time. Basically, the Mega Drive and it was a Mega Drive or PlayStation, or maybe it was both. Basically, became black. The table became black. You saw the backdrop, the light, and it just was entirely illuminated from the back, and it just looked really like it was like it was an advertising photo. And I don't know. I found it funny that kind of style of photo, at least when I came at and how good it looked, just came about as an accident. It's like, oops, I turned off the lights, and oh, that looks really good. Save.
Accidents are good sometimes, though. Especially apart from when you sort of do something by accident and then think, oh, how did I do that? And then you just never finding it again. Yeah. But you've got it saved anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the Bob Ross's popular saying that we don't have mistakes, we have happy little accidents. But So, moving back onto the topic of today, which is all about success and more, not necessarily like, oh, I've made it, but the effects of it. Sometimes how you get, how we feel from it. What to you is success? Like, what to you when you do something, whether it's a YouTube video or photo or something like that? What to you feels like it's a success?
It's tough question. It's that feeling that you've done something that you're happy with. It's everyone, and you may do it as well. You'll watch your video back a million times in the edit, looking for mistakes and little fixes and things.
Yeah.
And then you finally think, I'm happy with that, and then you put it out and you watch it back and you go, that wasn't very good. You'll always criticize your own work. You'll never be happy with it.
Yeah.
But other people give you the positive sort of reinforcement that was really good. I enjoyed that. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I learned that. Learned this, that, and the other. So that positive sort of engagement and feedback, that's one of the biggest successes you can have. It doesn't matter if it's 5 people or 5,000. To be honest, it's easier to talk to 5 people than it is 5,000.
Yeah.
That's part and parcel of getting bigger, is that is sometimes a problem. You never want that feeling that you'll reach out to someone and never get an answer, which, if any of my sort of videos or posts on Twitter, Instagram, whatever, I'll always try and respond to someone, or have to try and start a conversation. That person's taken 2 minutes out of their day to talk to me. The least I can do in kind is a little thank you, a little bit of conversation, maybe start a new complete chain of events with someone else about something. Like we're doing this now. This just came from a sort of brief conversation, and here we are having a chat.
Yeah, no,
I'd call that a success on a Sunday.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, like I say, thank you for being on. I mean, like, I've always found it difficult with, when you think of an idea in your head and it sounds really good in your head, but then you start talking to it to someone else and you're like, is this a good idea? And you're looking for that positive feedback and you're not sure if you're getting it. And then you're like, I feel really stupid right about now. But,
yeah, no, definitely. I've done sort of started several sort of videos and script ideas and things in the past and just gone, why?
Yeah.
I know some of my audience for certain things will be niche anyway. It's like, who wants to watch Neighbours on the Commodore 64, a video about that for 3 minutes? No one. But it's some of the bigger ideas that you think, oh, I'm really passionate about this. They just fall flat dead because you know people just aren't going to take to it as much as you want. That's why sort of making content that you're not always that bothered about as much. Be passionate about it, of course you are. If everything I put out is something that I want to put out, but I find that the more successful videos that I have on my channel are the ones where I've got my pseudo character with his back up moaning about something. Yeah. Oh, Jim's off having a rant again. Jim's having a complaint again. It's like, yeah, fair enough. And it's, it'll entertain some people. And I know some people in their sort of quiet corners will be like, oh, Jim's having a moan again. It's whatever. Doesn't matter. It's all part of just being silly. I'll always talk to someone if there's ever a direct problem about anything. But those videos sort of give a new audience to the smaller videos that you want to make, that your passion projects that you want to do. So hopefully some of that reflects back into that, which again, that's a success.
Yeah, I think what you say is quite true, because like I've had a couple of videos that I've put my heart and soul into, and they don't take off. And there's a myriad of reasons why. Sometimes it's just luck. Sometimes it's just because it's not the right topic. It's the wrong time of day. There's a load of things, but some of them have been like runaway successes, and I've like completely not intended it. I think like I did one recently, not too long ago, where it was I had it's a jack PC, so it was like it's a thin client that you embed into a wall, and that one I expected, like, maybe a couple of hundred people will look at it and go, oh, that's kind of neat. No, it became one of my like runaway successes. Like it went from the start almost immediately up to 1,000 views, like within a couple of days. Like, what the heck did I do right there? I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm happy for that, but what did I do right there? But
yeah, it's that thing of, you can make a video about the most famous thing that you want, so Sonic the Hedgehog, whatever. There's no content out there that is original that has got Sonic the Hedgehog in it. unless you're retro video game virus, sat in a wheelchair, dressed up as Sonic, drinking
Yeah,
vodka in a Scottish car park or whatever. Fair enough. But if you do something weird and niche, so your story there, I did a video just showing a Mega Engine console, which is literally a Raspberry with a Mega CD soldered to it. That's one of my most successful videos because it's something weird that people haven't seen. There
yeah,
aren't sort of that many floating about. It's a bit of an unknown. Anything like that's more interesting. I did a video. It was Rambo children's book.
yeah,
So I just sat there reading it like I was doing a little story time Jackanory sort of thing. People really warm to that. Very weird. So I managed to get some photography out of it, take some pictures of all the artwork and stuff, and just made a weird 10-minute video, which again is more fun than doing some other video about some sort of SNES game that no one cares about.
yeah. I think
Which is my passion, to be honest, doing those sort of videos. But yeah, it is what it is.
I think that's because that's the thing we like when you're like cast into a certain kind of topic, whether it be like retro gaming or modern gaming or any hardware stuff. A lot of people say, "Oh, you do one on the SNES," and it's like, yeah, but 100,000 other people have already done one on the SNES, and people when they see that in the subscriptions, they go, and then they just move on, and you don't. It doesn't do as well as you'd hope, which is why I think I like seeing it when people come up with like more unique concepts, or coming up with, like you say with your alter ego, your character, because that's the things that people will latch onto. It's the sort of the jokes that go along the side of it. We all know about the Sony PlayStation history story by now. We all know about that. No one cares about that. We care about the interaction that you have with people, and basically the personal touch of it. That's the thing that people latch onto.
Yeah, I think I'm at the level with sort of my channel where it is in the people that are the ones that constantly watch and comment and all the rest of it. They are into the story that I've got to tell about that game. So it's my perspective, my history, my nostalgia for it. If that taps into someone else's nostalgia, then perfect. You're always going to catch that one new straggler that'll be into what you're talking about anyway. But I think that's where I get my success from, is just having that little bit of conversation about that weird, obscure game that someone goes, "Oh, it's really interesting. I'll look into that." And that for me is always a win.
So, sorry, hit my own cable there. So, what to you then is the most successful video that you feel is the most successful in like maybe personal achievement, versus the what YouTube has declared as being one of your most successful videos?
Oof. That's awful. The Michael Machine thing was great anyway. That was just me
Yeah,
having a sarcastic dig. Again, you saying that no one wants to watch a Super Nintendo video again is I made a Super Nintendo video that wasn't really that much about Super Nintendo. It was just having a joke about it, messing around. I love stuff like that. Anything sort of offbeat or a bit different.
yeah,
Again, with that Rambo reading story, it's just stupid things that pop in my head. Just go, I could do a book on that. I could do a video on that. I could do a thing about that. I can do this, and it just turns into. Since then, I bought another book down there somewhere. I've got
yeah,
intention to do another one. It was positively received. That one was lockdown as well, which people were bored. So I stuck it on my general Facebook, my normal person Facebook, where
yeah,
no one really goes, "Oh, Jimmy, he's a nerd. He just likes video games." And
yeah.
I stuck it on there, and people just dead happy with it. It's like I watched it with my kids. It's like that's a bit strange,
It is,
but it's fun.
it's like that's always a weird one as well. Is like when your family or your friends, like the personal ones that you might not like really say about YouTube because might feel a bit embarrassed. At least I do. But I was speaking to my stepdad the other day, and he watches my stuff, all of my videos, and I still feel weirded out by that. But I mean, I suppose you got to be a bit happy about that, because it's not necessarily, especially if they say that they watch it because it is interesting stuff. It's they're not watching it just to necessarily support you. I mean, that's part of it, but like obviously if you know them well and you're surprised by their reaction, then you're clearly doing something right in my eyes.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of what YouTube says is successful, I did music video for Ubisoft years and years and years and years ago. I had a friend who was a rep, and he wanted to do a presentation for his end of year speech, and he wanted to do something a bit different. So I just chatting to him, I was like, why don't we just do something, do a music video just to celebrate one of the launch days, or it was for Assassin's Creed Revelations or something or other. Don't matter. That took off. That got onto a couple of front pages on news sites back then, which was about 10 years ago anyway.
Yeah.
So YouTube still, it wasn't the thing it was today, because I think I've had my channel since 2006.
Yeah.
So by YouTube standards, my channel's
an
decrepit.
old channel then.
Yeah. But that video, I think, is the biggest one. And then, for whatever reason, I just did a sort of clickbaity, you have to play this PS2 game. Yeah. And then a good friend, Rose Tinted Spectrum, did a thumbnail for it, which only he could do, which looked completely different to anything else you'd see. And it's constantly my top watched video ever. Yeah. In terms of sort of ticking along.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. I mean, like, again, I think for me, like my most successful, like compared to YouTube standards, actually I suppose it is. I seem to ramble on about this one every single time I get the opportunity, so I'll try to limit it here. But it's about the System 573. That one I knew was going to be, it was a targeted video because it's towards basically Bamani players and people who are into arcade machines and stuff like that. But it was basically, I think it was titled, it might still be titled, Everything That You Wanted to Know But Were Too Scared to Ask, that kind of cliche title. But it was kind of that because it was information that wasn't actually available anywhere else. It was stuff that me, Spicy JPEG, which is username obviously, and SMF of MameDev fame have been doing to, we were researching all this information. And I expected that video to do moderately well. But the thing is, for me, it took 2 months to make because there was a lot of things I needed to put into it. And then, it did really well. Like, it was my top performing video for months straight. And I was really happy by that, because that was one of the few times where something I was actually hoping, like personally hoping would do well, did really well. And that contrasts it with obviously what's behind me, the DDR cab that I'm doing at the moment, which, I mean, again, I'm not going to complain about. I get it; it's a niche topic, but it's not doing as well as some other videos like PS2. But I mean, PS2 has a lot more. I suppose that's got a lot more. How do you describe it? More people are interested in the PS2 than they are this kind of stuff. So I'm fine with that. I mean, it's not gonna, it's not like I'm gonna start trying to go down that route and just make it entirely that. Sometimes you got to do what makes the algorithm happy. Sometimes you got to, but as long as you do have your own things that you are happy about, I suppose.
I think if you just do what you think the algorithm tells you to do, you can't. You can be successful, but where's the love? Where's the passion there? If you want to make it into a business, then that's how you make it into a business. Yeah. For me, it's a hobby. The amount of people that say YouTube, why are you on YouTube? It's only there so you can get famous. It's not. For me, it's a creative outlet as well. It's, if I can reach a few people, cool. I make videos, book stuff that I want to tell a little story about, whether it's a 2-minute video or a 10-minute I'll never get it done video. Yeah, fair enough. But just for that blanket statement of YouTube's there only for people to get famous and try and make money, it's not true. That's just what the general sort of populace think. If you just want to do it as a part-time hobby, which, fair enough, that's what I'll do. I'm not bothered. I don't need that for 4 pence a month that I'm never going to make.
I mean, I've always been two dilemmas, because there's one side of me I really would like to be able to be paid for doing whatever I want to do, whatever I want to feel. But realistically, at that point, it becomes a job, and then does it become really fun to you? Like I suppose it's like kind of like, you don't want to question and say, oh, I don't want to be famous on YouTube. I mean, that's always, I suppose that's always kind of our goals, is to make it. I say make it, was to get a good audience, good following. Yeah. But I feel like for me, if it became a job like, unless it was paying out well, and even then, I would probably fall off the wagon. I just wouldn't want to do it, because now it's like, now rather than me doing my own things because I want to do them, I'm doing things because other people want to watch it, and I don't really care. And
Yeah, definitely. I find that if you start turning something into your 9 to 5, then there's deadlines and there's XYZ. It's like, well, I can have my 9 till 5 and I'm at deadlines at work. So when I'm at home, I've got my own time. I can do my own sort of passion projects. It's just more fun. I don't want to. The last thing I want to do is go to my job, do my job, come home, and then do more of my job.
Yeah.
Unless you are sort of set on wanting to get a big YouTube channel to make money out of, and that's not for me personally.
Yeah, although maybe I wonder, because like people like Neil is an interesting case, because like now his job is his YouTube career, but it's managing the cave. It's also doing all of this other stuff. Like, I think he's putting way more hours in than he, if you were going to say he's getting paid at a certain, monetary amount per hour, I think he's way below minimum wage, the amount of time and effort he puts in. At least that's how it feels like to me.
I suppose he's his own boss, though, isn't he? So at some point you have to step up and do what you think you have to do.
The thing is, as well, he's obviously got a lot of support from people like Richard Horn, the owner of Heber, and obviously the mill, and you got people like Alex and Holly and the Arcade Archive staff, who, granted, Arcade Archive is basically their own entity within the thing, but they're all one big group, basically. They're all working together for a common goal. I think that helps a lot, because they can at least delegate tasks, depending on to each other. So I think that helps. But he always strikes me as a kind of person as well, that just he's absolutely loving it, because it was one of his ideals, is one of his dreams, was to make this museum. So his hobby is his job, and it's still a hobby, really. Realistically, there are deadlines, but it's a good, I suppose it's a good problem to have in that sense. But what I was going to say is, outside of YouTube, what do you think do you have any like something successful or some project that you've done outside of YouTube that's taken off in a direction you didn't expect?
Not myself doing something. I've always been creative in working on a project for colleges or universities or whatever, or doing freelance work, which it's not really my own success. It's more success to go to a project. I wrote for Pat the NES Punk, Pat Contry, for his SNES and NES books. There's an N64 book due out at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Don't know the details. Wrote for that one as well. Not many, though. Can't stand that console. Hate it.
Fair enough.
They were massive successes. They were huge, so I was proud to be part of that. Jokes on Pat, because I would have done the first book for free. I used to watch his channel, I was a big fan, but got a couple of quid out of it, so can't complain there either. They were huge. Love them. Every time one randomly pops up on the internet and someone says, "Oh, I really like this book," it's like, it just gives me a little smile. Little just happy. Oh, nice one.
Yeah, like, how did you feel like when you were writing that? Then did you feel like it was? Did you feel like it was going to be like really popular, or did you're just writing it because you think, "Oh, I'll get the facts down," and that kind of thing, or?
No idea. I think we started. He did the Kickstarter first before he started pushing out to people, so you got to see sort of the bones of it before jumping on board, sort of thing. So you could see that there was something there with it, definitely. The only problem with that whole book is that it weighs more than like a baby. So postage is an absolute killer for anyone that wants that thing.
Yeah.
But no, and that again, it did come down to a 9 to 5 sort of doing work. It's for me again, it's less fun is reviewing a game rather than personal enjoyment of a game. Because if you've got a list of games and you don't like 10 of them, you still have to play them. You still have to be objective. That's where sort of writing is a problem. You have to block it out.
I was going to say, when you're reviewing games as well, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but after like if you're doing like 10 of them or more, after a certain point, you're going to reach that point of I'm done. I don't really care, and then you're going to be really a lot more harsh against a game that maybe deserves it, maybe doesn't, but like you're going to be a lot more critical because you just don't really want to be compassionate and say, oh, maybe it's maybe the developer was being nice about this, trying to be trying to teach you a lesson or something like that, and you're like, no, this is stupid, I don't want to do this anymore.
I sort of worked it that I can't remember how many I did for like the NES one. I did about 35 games, whatever, and I would purposefully lump ones that I thought would be bad together. Not necessarily played them all before. I'd lump some of the ones, like I'd play 3 terrible games and then one that I know will be good, so it could cheer myself up a bit.
Yeah, no, that's
and then just plow through that way. As I was ending up, I was getting through maybe 1-2 a week.
Yeah,
which is, considering doing that and then other jobs and your real life behind that. There's a lot going on. There's that sort of thing going. Oh, you're just writing about something. It's not that difficult. It is when, like you said, you've done several in a row, and you get to that point where I need a break. I need what's going on, or you think I've repeated that line somewhere else. I've said that before. I'm sure I've done this. I'm sure I've done that. But that's what the sort of editing team are for. When you send your work over, they'll question, what's this bit? What's that bit? What about including this? Talking about this. Which then that comes back, which crushes your soul even more, because then you've got to do more work to go around again. But that's what it's all for. But again, that book was huge. It's still selling. They both are.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't have my own story on anything like this, because writing's had always been an interesting one to me. I like the idea of doing it, but then I never like actually doing it, because like it's a lot of time, it's a lot of effort, and a lot of spell checking, grammar checking, proofreading. I have a load of ideas up in my head. I would absolutely love to write them down, and believe me, over the last 10 years I have tried, and there was only one time I've done anything I say successful. There's only one time where I've written it down continuously for months at a time, and because it was like a running story, but that was only with my partner, and that's something that will probably never see the light of day, because that's so I think I'm people, when I speak to people who have done books on the topics like Neil or yourself or others, I think to myself, man, that's a lot more effort than I'd ever put in. So, fair play.
I was just lucky that it's not my book. So again, you saying what successes have I had? It's not technically my book. It's still my book because I wrote for it.
It's still a success. It's a success.
No, of course it is. But I've not gone through the hardship of printers and costs and all that finances. That's nothing to do with me. So that for myself is a win.
You've had writing. I suppose plus it is. You get the fun part of it, or maybe not so fun part of it, without all of the logistics and hassle. So yeah, no, that's probably ideal if you can ever do it that way. But yeah, have you had anything else, any other projects at all, or?
Can't remember half of them. We've had My Cool Machine, which we've touched on.
Oh yeah,
which was a bit of fun. We can come back to that. We should do more of them. I think we've had a couple of things.
I think we can talk about My Cool Machine. I think because I think me and you, we're both the same thing. Like we really want to talk about like the consoles and the editing side of stuff. Despite what my intro said before, we look at stuff other side of it. No, we want to talk about the video stuff, don't we? Yeah. How did you find that, the My Cool Machine? And I suppose I should say, if you've not watched My Cool Machine, this was a playlist that was initiated, but who was it done by? Was it done by Rose Tinted Spectrum? Was it done by More Fun Making It now? Because
why does my brain think it wasn't Dudley, was it?
Oh, maybe it was Dudley. I don't know.
I don't know. No, he did the TV one, which was really good. The Christmas one.
I was just about to check who did it, and then I realised that I'm actually recording the Discord screen at the minute, so maybe I won't do that. But yeah, it was one of those people, one of those excellent minds, we'll say. And so what it was a playlist where of all the participants involved, you had, I think it was 2.5 minutes to talk about a particular console and just say why you thought it was your cool machine, or your console of choice. I did the I think I did a Mega Drive. Yeah, I did the Mega Drive because I wanted to do the Mega CD, but I think Matthias Baer stole that from me, so I did the Mega Drive instead. And then for yours, you did the Super Nintendo, like you said about before. So how did you find making that? How did you find that experience?
My brain already just thought make it stupid straight away. Just thought make it silly. Just have a dig at everything about it.
Yeah.
And have a go at other consoles while you're doing it to make mine look better, obviously.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have a factual sort of trudgy, no, this is what it's about, this is what it does. And I thought that just played into it, really.
Yeah.
It was more of a playlist for fun rather than fact, I thought. Because I know Bloggo went a bit silly with his as well. Was it TurboGrafx? I think it was.
Oh, I can't remember.
Sure, it was. Yeah,
it was,
and he just started just riffing and having jokes about his own stuff on it, which I thought was quite funny.
I think the My Cool Machine thing was awesome for me in several aspects, because I think that was the video which a lot of my editing process changed. But I remember the first time I did it on the Sega Saturn. And I did it as a really obnoxious styled video against the PlayStation, and trying to say like, "Oh, this is superior. It's got dual CPUs, 2 CPUs, and all this kind of stuff," and saying, "Oh, this imitator is trying to think he can confuse me for being in black color because I painted my PS1." But I remember posting that, and then I think it was Mark. Was it Mark? Sorry, More Fun Making It, who said, "Yeah, kind of not what we're going for here. You're trying to be a bit more, not serious, but a bit more on topic." I was like, "Okay, I'll do something a bit more, friendly." So I did it on the Mega Drive instead. I still had fun doing it.
That's weird, considering I got away with one of my points, which was the best thing about the Super Nintendo is it doesn't have Pokemon on it.
I think it was. I think it was more the thing of, because like that's on brand for your channel, a bit more on brand for your channel. But whereas for me, it was like my channel's a bit. It's more I say factual, serious. It's a bit more to the point. Whereas yours is just having a good time, and every minute of it is just a minute well spent. So I think that's kind of what they were going for. I was like, yeah, now you put it that way, probably best. I'll change it instead. But yeah. I mean, I'll definitely put a link in to both of ours into. In fact, you know what? I'll put in the link to the My Cool Machine playlist, because that was an awesome playlist to go through.
I want to watch it again, actually. Thinking about it. I've not watched it for a while.
Yeah,
some of the things like we're talking about is like, who did this, who did that, and then it's like I just can't remember some of it. And
the thing is like as well, I'm terrible for comparing myself against others, and I remember like on some of the playlists that I've been part of, I look through as like, where do I rank in this? I mean,
dangerous.
Yeah, it's a very dangerous thing, because you can sometimes get really low to the bottom or really high, but then again, depends on kind of mood and stuff like that. But yeah, I remember watching you. I remember watching yours actually. I found it hilarious to watch actually, and like I want to recall some specific scenes of it. I know like I've got images in my head, but I can't. You can't quite recall that, and you can't put it out with any kind of authority, any kind of authenticity behind it. But yeah, no, I'm going to definitely go watch it again. That was great fun. I think Matthias Baers's Mega CD, because again, I was kind of annoyed that I didn't get the Mega CD, but I watched his one. I was like, yeah, okay, that was pretty good. I'll give him that one. Yeah, I think again, because for me, like. What I liked about that was not only was it successful in the sense like the video was itself pretty good, the playlist was pretty good, people did watch that playlist. I was kind of a bit skeptical, would people watch it, but no, they did. I was like, fair play. It did pretty well on YouTube, but it was also like that was the first video I think I used Final Cut Pro fully to edit stuff in, and that was a blast, because like any time I've had to do animation or something like that within iMovie previously, and I'm like, this is awful, this is horrible. Like every time I wanted to do I have him in my I've said about this in the podcast before, I've had him in the Naoki Mona character. He's always in my script as Naoki Mona. He's not always moaning, but that's what I call him. Whenever I had to do that previously, that was always, every frame was a PNG image, and I had to add that into iMovie and basically animate it that way. It was awful. It was atrocious. So the moment I went to iMovie, I'm like, whoa, that this is going to be massive. I can't even open iMovie and do simple stuff in it now, because like every time I do, it's like, no, this is awful.
Sounds like more effort than what I do. But my sort of drawback is that I really need to try harder. But I sort of think in my head, I think, the charm of the video will get away with it. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
So that's my sort of drawback on not pushing myself or learning how to do this sort of animation or something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes I just don't need it.
Yeah,
don't.
I mean, I don't need the animation most of the time, but like,
no, but you want to do it though. That's the thing.
I mean, yeah. I didn't, when I did the Konami Viper video, I didn't need to do the whole subplot of it having Metal Gear related stuff. I didn't need to remake the entire codec screen in Photoshop and then animate that by hand in Final Cut. I didn't need to do anything like that, but it was certainly fun to do. Although apparently it was fun for me to do, but not necessarily fun for people to watch, because you do see little dips in my video when the in the retention when those two come on. I'm like, oh, you spoil sports.
Stop looking at it.
I try not to, but then you get bored and you got the studio app on your phone, and I'm just like, I shouldn't do that. But yeah, no. I think as well, it's also annoying when you look at your video and you look at yourself, oh, that's pretty good, and you see one of your older ones and you go, how was I ever happy with doing that? You know, I don't know if you get that so much, but I certainly do. Like,
sometimes I didn't sort of start doing, I don't want to say proper videos till a couple of years ago. It's just COVID. It just did it for everyone, didn't they? There's a big community sort of groundswell of let's all get together and, have fun. We can't do much else. But yeah, there's a difference between then and sort of 10 years ago when I was just putting out, here's some Streets of Rage 2 footage.
Yeah.
Without context or fun or anything. Whereas now I'll do a video where it's a full playthrough of Final Fight, but I've spent the 45 minutes playing Final Fight, but having jokey little comments about the game that I've made up.
Yeah,
bit more structure and a bit more creativity rather than just chuck a game on the internet.
Yeah, I think as well. Like I do like seeing progression, because I mean progression in itself is success, really. And I think again in the most recent video I did have a very brief bit where Naoki Mona pops up just to correct me, and is in that quizzitive kind of pose. It's just an image. There's no animation behind it. But I drew that entirely. At least drew that sketch, because I recently got an iPad at work, and I've been just sketching random things. Anyway, I drew that, and I decided rather than using my traditional PSD file where he's posable in quote marks, I used that one, and then I looked at it, and then I went to one of my old videos like, holy, was I happy with that one before? And the problem is, I was like, oh, now I want to make the whole posable one, but in this new style. Oh, god damn it. So, yeah. I'm going to sound like an employer now, and I feel awful about doing this, but where do you see yourself in the next year or two?
I don't at the moment. Real life, I've just switched jobs. I'm working for a media company in the games industry. So I'm just going to hammer that to death and do my utmost and get all that worked out. And that's just my main focus at the moment. I'm having a great time doing all that.
Yeah.
And off the back of it, my YouTube sort of stuff, I haven't done anything for a while, but I don't keep up with getting a video out every week, every month anyway. It's not for me. If I'm stuck to time constraints, then I'm not going to do it. So I just haven't had much creativity recently, apart from a few photos here and there. I've just had a quiet one, so I just need to get that sort of oomph back and do it again. I've got a load too many videos sort of in my head or written down or whatever planned. It's just taking the time to sit down, script it, because a 5-minute video will take me a whole Saturday to sort out, from game footage to writing it to editing to messing around with the edit to uploading it 16 times, then changing little bits. It's very time consuming. It's just, I like chilling out on the weekends currently, so I'm enjoying life.
Yeah, I think I fall into that trap a lot, where I do have videos in my head, but then it's like, it requires effort and doing it. And I've had, again, between work and other things, I don't know what it was. The first couple of years of me being in my workplace, I was able to do work, come home, do video stuff, and manage my own, my personal life as well. And somehow I've seemed to forgotten how to do that, and now it's like I go to work, I come home and like I just want to sleep now. I don't want to do anything else. I don't want to think about YouTube videos or anything like that. So I'm not sure if it's just I was a little burnt out or anything like that, but I think what I'm going to try to do, and I'm not going to say what I was going to say, because that will be held against me in terms of scheduling. Yeah, don't schedule if you can't keep to it, because that's going to be horrible.
Don't schedule if you can't keep to it. And don't write it down anywhere either online.
Yeah, no, because if you do that, you will be held accountable to it. I mean, I think me and you can get away with it. If you're someone like Neil or LGR, yeah, you would not get away with that one. But yeah, it's difficult because, again, like, I see myself as having like compared to others, I do seem to have like a slow progression. I'm slowly getting higher and higher in like sub counts and stuff like that. And to be honest with you, I was happy with like 500, quite honestly. I mean, it's one of those things, like, as that number goes up, at least in my head, it seems to always to be, it always seems to be, now I've got to put more effort in. Now I've got to put more effort in. It's coming up and up and up. It's like, I can't just do one on the sly or something like that. No, I do have to think about it and at least attempt to put like a lot of effort in. I don't know if I say, it's not like I don't put a lot of effort in already, but
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
It's like, but yeah, maybe we should. I'm wondering now. I wonder what the next topic for like a My Cool Machine kind of thing would be. Like, what would you think would be a good one?
Well, the other way around, surely.
A bad machine?
Yeah, people. Well, what you think is bad, not necessarily what is bad.
So, Master System.
There you go. N64 negativity
Dudley's
always
love
gets
that
more traction than positivity. So
yeah. Well,
I think we've touched on dirty gold there.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I suppose. Like, I still did technically put a negative video on my channel, because that Saturn video I did actually put up on my channel as an April Fool's video. And again, I thought that was going to get a load of... I felt people weren't going to get the joke, but apparently people do. And, it again, turned out to be one of my more popular videos. Like, no, don't push that one. Of all the videos to push, don't push that one. But, yeah, I'm just trying to think what console I would actually give abuse for now. Because, like...
Spectrum.
I'm
a Commodore lad, so
yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, I mean, because like for me as well, it's like some of it is not necessarily because I think it's a bad console. It's just because I don't enjoy it as much, just purely because I don't have any nostalgia for it and I don't have any sentiment for it. So I think I've got a Commodore 64 over there that has remained broken for about the 5 years I've owned it, and it's remained powered off for at least 3 years. Because I just don't use it.
Well, we don't get around to using half the stuff. There's tat everywhere. It's one of them things. It's that pile of one day, one day, and then one day turns into like same as making YouTube videos. It's like, not today, and then 3 years later you're like, well, start switching Commodore on. So it is what it is, isn't it?
It definitely is. And at some point I will finish up my project. Well, I say you're never done with projects, but I will get them to a point where I'm satisfied with them, and then I can sort of just chill and think a bit more clearly. And maybe I do just go on a bigger break at some point and just go have a good old think of what I want to do. But for the moment, I'm enjoying myself. I think I suppose you are too, even though you're stuck with it at work at the moment. But
No, I'm all good. I'm all good. I'm in a good place at the minute, which is it's good. We're all good.
Yes.
Positive.
And on that ending note, I think we should probably wrap this one up because it's going to be a bit longer than the usual. I say usual half hour. They're usually like 30 to 40 minutes anyway. But I've enjoyed spending time with yourself and listening to your stories and your stuff like that. And I don't know. I would love to do something more in future at some point. But yeah, I think for the moment, we're gonna have to wrap it up. Do you wanna shout out your channels at all? Your I mean, for the people who are watching the YouTube video, you're gonna see it on the screen. It's been under his name all this time. But for the listeners out there,
I don't even know what they are. So, SuperJimtendo on YouTube. You'll probably find me. You might not because I'm only little. That'll do. Yeah.
Well, I'll do
if you find me. Hello.
Since I've been seeing them for about the past hour or so, or at least 50 minutes, I'll say them out. So you can find Super Jimtendo available on YouTube at Super Jim. You can also find him available on X at SJimtendo. There's also a website, which is a Pexels website. Just very briefly, what is Pexels?
It's just a free hosting website.
Oh, so it's kind of like
it's just a free hosting website for images. So basically, I've noticed there isn't enough or any video game content for your YouTube channel, someone else's YouTube channel, or stock footage that isn't sort of payable or there isn't enough of it, basically. So I've got video game artwork and other bits and bobs, photographs up on there that you can download for free. There's a donate button. Don't really care if you use it or not because it's there for free. That's the whole point. Part of a success is me trying to help other people's content, which I take great pride in. So if there's an image there that you need, steal it. Just download it, just say thanks to me sometime. Or if you've got any recommendations or want anything doing, so long as I've got the kit on my wall or whatever game that I've got that you need, I can try and make something for you happily.
That's brilliant. You know what? Now you've explained that, I'm definitely going to check it out because I think that's something that I fall short of a lot of times. Is you get like Adobe stock and stuff like that, but you don't necessarily say for like video game and especially retro game stuff. You don't see it all the time.
There's nothing. There's really not that much out there. There's a lot of stuff on Instagram where people like to show off what they've got, but there's not a lot of people who like to show that stuff and give it back.
Yes. So if you are in the market for retro gaming assets, you can find some more. You can hopefully find a lot more photos of made by Super Nintendo available at pexels.com/at super-jim-316475244. And don't worry, I will put that link in the description in both YouTube and into the podcast notes or inside the podcast description because no one's going to remember that one if it was only in audio form. So I'll make sure that we put it in there, and then hopefully a lot of you out there will find it more useful. And like if you do find it useful, do give Jim a thank you, or even click that donate button because it's just showing your support for your fellow creators. But I think other than that should be all. Have you got any closing notes you want to say? No?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
No worries.
Lovely Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for taking time out of your day to come on here. And thank you, humble viewers and listeners, for watching and listening. And we will, at least I will catch you next time.